Good afternoon. My name is Nishaki Mehta, and I had the privilege and honor of being David Haynes' partner over the last 5 years. I'm very grateful to Heart Rhythm TV for encouraging us to create this montage of video memories. David, these are videos from our friends and colleagues, people you and in some measure I have collaborated with over the years. These are videos from our past and our current trainees, from the clinic staff, from our EP lab staff, and finally from Matt and Jiva, who had something to say. So we've really tried to curate this to show you that not only was David Haynes an exceptional researcher and innovator, but there was so much more to him. He was a phenomenal clinician. He was a master educator. And I think, David, you taught me a lot in life, but you also taught me a lot in death. It's been a little over a month since we lost you, but watching your celebration of life, where people were forming lines in the parking lot to come and celebrate you, to honor you, it really brought light to the fact that your professional legacy was phenomenal, was off the charts. But more importantly, your human footprint was, if I may, was even larger than your professional footprint. And that's really that's really a feat. One of the best things I liked about you was that you were so authentic. You were so genuine. I've had the privilege and the luxury of working with a lot of leaders in the field, but the way you discuss your shortcomings, the things that didn't work out, in the same way as you discussed things that we should plan for the future, really made me respect you a lot. And this year, you would have turned 70, and I was waiting to tell you this on your birthday, but you and my biological dad share the same birthday, the same day, the same month, the same year. My father was born in India, you were born here. My father held my hand and guided me and continues to guide me as you did in the workplace. So at your birthday, I was basically going to say you are like my work father. I wish I had a chance to tell you that. The last month has really been a roller coaster of emotions, not just for me, but also for my staff and my colleagues. But we've channeled our grief to figure out ways to continue your memories and your legacy. One thing we did, which you may have really liked, is David was known, his patients knew this, his staff knew this, but he was known for wearing these red Crocs. And we created these red Crocs and a picture of, the staff decided on this picture. It's the picture where you look the most relaxed. And Gail told me this was at a tea estate in India, which made me all the more happier. So we're all wearing these red Crocs to honor your memory. And this is your office. It's the first time I've entered it since, where you'd always be working in the corner, or if you weren't there, you'd be on the treadmill taking your meetings. But my favorite part of the office was really this really comfortable couch area where you would sit down, give anybody who walked in your full attention and focus. You step away from your computer or your treadmill, and we'd make magic and EP happen. I also want to thank Reva Musti for helping me put these videos together. She's one of our phenomenal medical students who had the honor and privilege of working with David, as did I. Finally, I'd like to say, you may not be here in person, David, but your spirit lives on, the legacy you've created lives on, and I am really hoping to continue the good work that we had started together. Rest in peace. Hi, David. This is a video montage of some people across the country, our colleagues and friends, our fellows, the EP lab staff, the clinic staff, the research team, and finally, Matt and Jiva had something to say. This is just a glimpse of how many lives you've touched and how many memories you have created. Your legacy will live on forever.
Hello, my name is John Hummel. I first met David Haynes when I was a third-year medical student at the University of Virginia. I had come to the devastating conclusion that I didn't want to be a neurosurgeon, and my next rotation was in the CCU. And I'm sitting there going over these tracings, trying to figure out if this patient's in ventricular tachycardia, and in walks the EP fellow, Dr. David Haynes. And David sat down and patiently, so patiently, walked through the tracings and explained to me why the patient was not in ventricular tachycardia. His grasp of what to me was a very complicated topic at that point, and then his explanation of his field really made me want to possess the same knowledge. It was David that introduced me to a field that I have loved for 34 years. And it's heartbreaking that I never really told him that. And now he is gone. You know, I watched him go on and further develop our understanding of the biophysics of ablation, develop new ablation and mapping technologies, lead efforts in education in NASP and HRS. And throughout all these accomplishments, he remained unabashedly honest and inherently humble. He was truly as happy talking to a medical student as he was to some corporate CEO. He never really thought of himself as all that special. And perhaps that's what made him so special. In love with his wife, his son, his friends, with life. He really knew how to have fun. I am Catholic. It's the Lenten season. And I was reading Christ's Beatitudes. And one keeps resonating with me when I think of David Haynes. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. David, it is comforting to me to know that you shall see God. It was a blessing to have known you, and we all will miss you.
Thanks for asking me about David Haynes. I wanted to share some of my memories with you. We worked together when we were at ABIM on the writing committee for the EP boards. He was delightfully opinionated about our questions and answers, of course. What really impressed me was his amazing ability to take our electrocardiograms and our EGMs, and with his wonderful computer skills, render these exactly into what we needed for an appropriate question. The other thing I wanted to comment is about a wonderful summer afternoon that my sister and I wound up spending at their house, Gail, and with David. It was about a year and a half ago, and we had an amazing treat to see their wonderful house, having them show off all the most beautiful things that they had in the house, and the pride with which they shared all the stories behind this. We also spent a wonderful afternoon on their boat drinking champagne.
I have had the honor and privilege to work with David in several capacities, including volunteer work within the Heart Rhythm Society on the Board of Trustees and at ABIM. He could be described as a passionate electrophysiologist and an innovator who has contributed so much to our field. His most notable contributions have been in the area of catheter ablation, including his more recent work on pulse field ablation. He has been a proponent for HRS members and an advocate for both women and men in the field of electrophysiology, and most of all, an advocate for arrhythmia patients. I also feel so privileged to have gotten to know his wife, Gail, who was always part of his world travels while he was disseminating his research. On top of all his contributions and passion for the field of electrophysiology, he was a wonderful friend and clearly a devoted family member. I feel so fortunate to have known David, and while he will be very greatly missed, his legacy will live on.
Hi, this is Brad Knight in Chicago. I just want to take this chance to say a few things about David Haynes. I really miss David. We spent a lot of time together at the American Board of Internal Medicine. He was great to spend time with, super smart, interesting, kind, great listener, and just really a good person. He's a pioneer in our field. Anything we learned about the biophysics of ablation and EP really came from David. What many people might not know is that he did an ablation for atrial fibrillation on my wife's brother about 2001 in the very early days of AF ablation, and took great care of him and really is a master in our field. So I already miss you, Dave. Best my condolences to his family.
Hello. Thank you for allowing me to speak a few words regarding Dr. David Haynes, who I had the pleasure of meeting a few years ago. But of course, I had known about him for a long period of time prior to that due to his tremendous contributions to electrophysiology, but also because of his mentorship that he had provided to many of my friends and colleagues over the years that were not just in electrophysiology, but within other fields of medicine. People I had spoken to prior to even meeting him spoke very highly of his generosity of spirit, his kindness, and his desire to help others. When he came to my institution to give grand rounds a few years ago, he gave an excellent and very educational talk that led to a lot of interactions and questions from faculty and fellows alike. But even prior to that, he spent a lot of the day talking to my colleagues, mentoring fellows, educating fellows, and I had the pleasure of meeting with him on a one-to-one basis for just a 20-minute period of time. I think about this frequently, about how that 20-minute interaction with him was very impactful for my career. He helped me with some career development ideas and also helped me with some of the critical research questions that I had at that time. I thought about this also in the context that people who had known him for a long period of time and benefited from his mentorship were very lucky. I was lucky enough to meet him for a short period of time and to have known him for a few years, but his passing made me realize that not only was his passing a big loss for electrophysiology, but it was a tremendous loss for humanity. I'm very saddened to hear of his loss, indeed.
It's an honor to say a few nice things about David Haynes, who unfortunately passed away not long ago. I knew David for many years. He was an outstanding electrophysiologist and scientist, and maybe more importantly, a humanist. And he will be remembered long after his papers are forgotten by his humanity, his interaction with his patients, and with his fellows. If I can paraphrase Ralph Waldo Emerson, for any of us to leave Earth a better place when we go is a successful life. So my deepest condolences to his family, and it's been a pleasure knowing David all these years.
A video tribute to David Haynes. Well, a rush of stories come to mind. The first was when I first met him in 1997 when he came to Columbus to help with an AFib ablation protocol. In no time, David was dropping educational pearls in a kind and supportive manner when the room was really tense and all kinds of people were there. And he was talking to me as if we'd been working together for numerous years. There were many other times we interacted, of course, but then when we joined the ABIM EP committee, we would spend several days together every 6 months or so. And we would get into these heated debates about EP and then, of course, about life. And that was my relationship with David. It was few but very deep moments. And no matter how long we were not seeing each other, it only took us about 5 minutes to get back to where we were before. Thank you for your wonderful friendship, David. We will miss you and we love you so much.
Hi, David. I will be missing you tremendously. I miss seeing you on the mountain. I will be missing you on the lake. I will be missing you in the lab. Most of all, I will be missing you in my corner. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
On behalf of all the Beaumont Royal Cardiology Fellows, we are so grateful to have had the honor to learn under Dr. Haynes. One of the things we all loved about him is that his door was always open for EP questions or life. We miss him dearly. Surf's up.
I was fortunate to work with Dr. Haynes for the past 19 months out of my fellowship. He was my mentor and a friend during this whole journey in the EP lab and outside of the EP lab. Dr. Haynes was very excited about my first ever ski trip that I did last December, and he went over all the moves with me, including the pizza move to stop and all of that stuff. He tried multiple times to teach me wake surfing, but I was too afraid to do so, and I guess I missed my chance now. I'll miss him dearly.
I had the privilege to work with Dr. Haynes for a few months of starting my fellowship. I learned a lot of basics from him. I would like to share a comment he made during our conversation. One day during a long case, he seemed to be distracted seeing the clock. I asked him, is everything okay, Dr. Haynes? He said he has an unhappy wife today and he needed to get home early. So I told him, Dr. Haynes, you are lucky to have an unhappy wife just today. I live with it daily. So he immediately said that post-marriage unhappiness starts as a chronic process and advanced stages it gets paroxysmal. So we instantly added a EP flavor to a married life unhappiness. Myself and all of our staff miss him dearly.
I am Kuldeep Shah. I was one of the EP fellows at Beaumont Hospital from 2020 to 2022, where I got the chance to work under Dr. David Haynes. He is an excellent teacher and a very supportive and encouraging mentor. During my fellowship, I got the opportunity to work on multiple research projects with him, and one of our project on pulsed field ablation was accepted as an oral abstract. That was my first opportunity of an oral presentation. And after my presentation, I was asked a question which I probably fumbled, and Dr. Haynes had my back. He got up from the audience and answered the question on my behalf. This was my special memory of him. I'll always miss having him in my corner.
Hello, my name is Chris Bradley. I was an EP fellow under Dr. Haynes from 2018 to 2020. My fondest memory of him was in the EP lab where he allowed fellows to select music. In particular, he played Eminem's Lose Yourself, in which you had to terminate the arrhythmia by the end of the song. I still play this song when I'm excited and about to terminate an arrhythmia, and I'll always link the music selection to the great Dr. Haynes. Rest in peace.
Dr. Haynes was able to impact so many young lives at Heart Check, and we'll very much miss him.
Thank you so much, Dr. Haynes, for all your support for the students, your kindness, and constant mentorship. We really appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Shea. I'm the manager of the Student Heart Check program. Today we had our 77th screening with over 300 students that came to participate in the student heart check that Dr. Haynes helped start. We want to dedicate this screening to Dr. Haynes, who we lost recently. He helped create, advocate, and direct the student heart check program for 17 years, helping screen over 20,000 children. He attended countless screenings, sat and taught med students for years and years as they learned to interpret the EKGs, was patient and kind to everybody, and he led our past research. I know I am not alone in saying how much we will miss him. We really appreciate him being a part of this program, and we will miss him so dearly.
So I started working with Dr. Haynes. I was his research nurse when he came here from University of Virginia in 2003. So I had the privilege to work with him for 21 years, and he was just an incredible person. Professionally, he was an amazing teacher. He was an amazing physician. His patients loved him. We all loved working with him. And personally, he was so social. We loved when he would tell us stories and we would talk with him. I remember always being able to find him in our lunchroom. He was always grabbing a cup of coffee and looking for whatever snacks were around back there. So we always knew if we heard him come through the office, we could get him when he was back there. So I have to say I feel very privileged and honored to have worked with him, and we will miss him, but we will never forget him.
I've had the honor of knowing Dr. Haynes for approximately 18 years, dating back to our Woodhaven office, where he would come down at least once a month so that our downriver patients would not have to travel all the way to Royal Oak. But the thing I remember most about Dr. Haynes is even though our clinics were very busy and he was very focused on patient care, when it came to our holiday parties, he made it a point to go to each and every person and each and every table and say hello and chit-chat for that time. That's what I remember most about Dr. Haynes. It's been my honor.
Hi, my name's Mary Jane. I'm the echo sonographer here in the office. I've worked with Dr. Haynes since the Woodhaven days. That was 18 years ago. He was always such a wonderful person to work with, ask questions, get answers. And one really great story I'd like to share is I walked into the kitchen here in Royal Oak one day and he says, "Mary Jane, help me. I need some help with this microwave." And I was like, "Dr. Haynes, what do you need?" And he says, "I'm trying to melt some wax." And I said, "Why are you melting wax in the microwave?" He goes, "For a pig heart." And him and I laughed about it. And I said, "I really don't think this is going to work, but let's try." I do believe the end result was the microwave was ruined, but we did miraculously get a new microwave that Christmas. So I'll always cherish that memory with him and just the chit chats that we would have in the lunchroom and at Christmas parties and everything else that we were ever involved with. I'm going to miss his knowledge, his vast research that he's been doing to help so many people. There's going to be a huge void in the world because of that. And also my family members that were his patients are going to miss him as well. So rest in peace, Dr. Haynes. We all love you. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Caroline, and I work at Academic Heart and Vascular. I worked with Dr. Haynes. He was a great doctor. He greatly impacted our office. He touched my heart along with everybody else's in the office, and all of our patients have great things to say about him, and he touched our hearts and along with the patients' hearts. He will be greatly missed.
My name's Nadine. I've worked here at AHV for 5 years. I always work Tuesday clinic with Dr. Haynes, and I always thought how amazing he was every time I heard him talk to a fellow, how smart he was, and just so kind and nice to everybody. Losing him was a great loss to our clinic, our patients, and everybody that knew him, and we will miss him greatly here at AHV.
So I had the privilege of working with Dr. Haynes for the past year, and he was always so willing to teach and show me the ropes with anything related to EKGs and cardio readings. I learned so much just in a short year with him. You could tell that he loved what he did. Anytime I would ask him questions about an ablation and his research interest, his face would just light up. And all of his patients, whenever I would speak with them, just constantly said how grateful and blessed they were to have Dr. Haynes as their doctor. And I know if I was having any heart concerns myself, I would feel so comfortable in the care of Dr. Haynes. Thanks so much to Dr. Haynes for all of his contributions to our office and to the field of cardiology. We will miss him dearly, but he will never be forgotten.
I am Carla. I'm honored to have worked with Dr. Haynes for over 18 years and privileged to have learned so much from him. He was an amazing educator, and I'll miss our Tuesday morning discussions about the previous Formula One race the weekend before. He will be greatly missed, and his legacy will go on.
Maybe we wore it out, Susie.
There's one more gift in there.
Okay.
Oh, honey, you look so cute.
Look at the one more gift. Look at this other gift.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have Williams, and now he has his own.
The EP Lab staff, our greatest memory of Dr. Haynes was his ability to stay calm in any situation, especially when his house was on fire and he finished his EP study and completed the case before he left. We were also very fond of talking to Gail on his lab days when she would page him and tell him to hurry up and come home. And we are all very grateful to Dr. Haynes for his knowledge that he shared with us and the fellows, and it was his passion and drive that have really inspired all of us.
So one of my favorite memories of Dr. Haynes was when he terrified me in the lab because I put on music and he dropped the catheter, walked away from the table, yelled my name, and I thought I'd made some huge mistake. And he said, "Chad, what kind of music is this?" And I had to take a very big deep breath because I thought it was something really bad. He always had a great taste in music, and we always loved that about him. Very youthful in his taste.
A favorite memory I have of Dr. Haynes is betting on whether or not he was wearing socks under his 20-year-old blood-stained red Crocs.
Of all the things that Dr. Haynes has left to me, there is one thing that we will always talk about in the department. That is this crazy bird. One day, when we went into Dr. Haynes' office for research, he had this bird sitting out on his desk. I commented and said, "Wow, that's an interesting bird." He says, "Do you want it?" I said, "Oh, okay." When he gave it to us, we didn't realize what it was or that it was supposed to do a few things. He handed it to us and it flopped open like this, and we're like, "Oh my God, we broke it." I handed it over to Lauren, and it has this little baby, and it fell. Good thing Dr. Haynes is very focused when he's at his computer, because Lauren was on the ground picking the baby up because we thought it broke also again, but it's magnetic. This thing in our department will always be the one thing that we have to remind us of Dr. Haynes. This interesting, forever interesting peacock? Bird? Not sure.
Hi, David. I'll always remember that the times when you spent brainstorming with Nishaki. She would come home ear to ear smiling from the hospital. And if she's happy, that makes life great for me. So I'll always be thankful for you for that. And I'll always cherish the incredible Thanksgiving meals we had. What a feast you would prepare. and the interesting and thought-provoking questions after. We're going to miss you terribly, this one as well. And I promise, and I know it is a lifelong goal of yours to get me into the water and on the lake and go water skiing. I promise to go into the lake. I don't know about water skiing, but I promise to go into the lake for you.